Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks. We're a YouTube channel on the web at smartwatchticks.com. This is probably the most controversial Android smartwatch I've ever reviewed on this channel. It's the beginning of 2021. 3 Android 10 based smartwatches have been released in 2020. This is the 4th to come to market, and it's from LEMFO. It's called the LEM14. Now, before we begin on all of this, I want to give a big shout out to the tech crew over at fullandroidwatch.org. These guys have already been watching this video. Yep, I got a private link just for them so they have a chance to really study this watch, look at how it performs from the actual physical characteristics of the real watch itself. And then later, we launch this video for you. Now, if you want to see some of these videos before they hit the public, suggest you go over and create an account at Full Android Watch, because I'll probably be doing this for upcoming Android watches, letting the tech team have a shot at it first to get ready to answer all your guys' questions, because when you ask them, I'm going to send you over there anyway. I am not the smartest light bulb in the pack, but at least I made the pack. The other guys, they're bright lights. So they created a thread over there that is related to the LEMFO LEM14, and this is the exact link to that. You don't need to write it down. I'll have a clickable link in the show notes for you. Or you just go in the front door. Once you get in there, just look for LEM14. Any way you do it, you're going to get over there. It's a long blog so far, and where I post this video, I'll have the link to the blog from that point forward so you can see all the new comments. But reading the whole thing is great information for the background of what we're going to talk about today. All right, we got that squared away. Now, the actual watch itself is coming to us from Banggood. And I'm going to show you a whole lot more about this, but let me give you the premise on this thing, because it's through our sponsors that I'm able to get these watches. Banggood has got this in a pre-launch mode, so I don't have a coupon for you, because it's probably lower price than I'll be able to get a coupon in the future. But if you're watching this later than January 2021, and you're interested, check the show notes for a coupon. If I have one, I'll have it there for you. You can see the price has already gone up $10 from when it started, and it's going to go up more as they sell more of these units. Now, the thing that's going to make this video interesting is two things. I'm not going to go into the typical detail that I do in reviewing an Android smartwatch over and over and over again. I'm going to refer you guys over to the review on this one. This is the Cospet Prime 2 with a huge 13 megapixel camera module on it. And in the original review of this one, I go into really deep detail about the whole operating system, the installed apps, and how crazy it can be with that twist your wrist to light it up. Oh man, every one of them's got their own quirks. So anyway, if you are newbie to Android smartwatches, take a look at the review of the Cospet Prime 2. If you already got the basic background, then stick with us, because we're going to go deeper into the specs on the LEM14 and why they're controversial. Let me show you the overall highlight. This is what's listed currently on the listing at Banggood. It's claiming it's a 4G, 4 gigabyte plus RAM, 64 gigabyte storage, 4G network. Interesting, that's the same numbering. Watch phone, and that is true. All of that stuff can be verified, and it's all of these Android 10 smartwatches are coming to us with this configuration. No problem there. 5 atmosphere waterproof, 1600 milliamp battery, 13 megapixel dual camera. We have issues with that, folks, right up front. They're not correct, but we're not totally sure what they are, and I'll give you background on that. Face Unlock smartwatch, yes, Face Unlock has been around for a while. It's on all these new Android watches. So spec-wise, here you go. The basic kind of stuff is here, and It's using the same tethering app, the YWatch 2. It's using a different CPU, the Helio P22, with the memory configuration we told you about. That's on all 4 of the Android 10 smartwatches right now, and that's been confirmed. All the network stuff is the same. Here's the size. Notice it says it's a 1.69-inch Corning Gorilla Glass 4 450 by 450 pixel resolution screen. I can show you, probably will. It's not that size. It's 1.6 inches. I mean, nobody's messed around with rulers, I don't think, and calipers. All of these watches, none of them come in at 1.69 inches. That's a fact. So in Banggood's defense and in LEMFO's defense, these specs came from the factory through the process, including all the glossy pictures you see, and the background for all of these claims come from the original factory as gospel. And it's picked up by the manufacturer that is branding it, LEMFO, and it's passed on to the outlet like Banggood that's selling it, and we get the specs that have been claimed by the factory. So a lot of you guys I know are dissing everything from China in general all the way up through Banggood not getting it to you on time, even though it's the shipper that is in fault and not the company. I don't want to say everybody's perfect in the chain, but I do want to say where the fault lies. Don't shoot the messenger. The messenger is Banggood. The messenger is LEMFO. But the fault in the incorrectness of some of the specs lies with the factory that produces them and specifies them and sells them. We're clear on that? Okay. It's not 450 by 450 pixels. It's 400 by 400. It's 1.6 inch. What do you think about Corning Gorilla Glass 4? That expensive glass used on phones. Is it true? I can't verify it. None of our tech people have a way easily, without destroying the device or getting microscopes and chemicals, to verify if it does or does not have Corning Gorilla Glass 4. My feeling is, are you kidding me? I don't think so. Not at the prices they're charging for these things. But nonetheless, it's been specified there. So we're starting to see, coming from China, and sadly, alternative facts to represent these watches that makes it a gray area on whether to trust and believe them or not. I'm sorry, I know. I'm not going to sell a lot of watches, and I might have sponsors drop me, but I'd rather tell you the truth. Look at this. Battery capacity, 1,600 milliamp hour batteries. We know that's not right. The best guess right now is 1,100 milliamp hour, and I've got an app that one of the tech folks over there at the site I told you about told me I could install to check the actual power of the battery, and it's coming in at about 1,000. At least that's what it's spec'd for. So 1,000 milliamp hour batteries. Now, let's talk just a minute about this. It's going to be a long day, guys, but this is foundational stuff. Think of the battery as the size of a gas tank on a car. You got a 10-gallon gas tank, and you could drive 500 miles, let's say. If they put a 16-gallon gas tank, you think you could drive a lot further, right? Well, if the miles per gallon of your car is pretty low, you might go the same basic distance as you would with a 10-gallon gas tank. In fact, if your 16-gallon gas tank was filled with crud, and what I'm kind of saying is if a 1,600 milliamp hour battery isn't primo, top of the line, able to store full charge for a long time, then it might be on par with a 1,000 or 1,100 milliamp hour battery. So the app I'm talking about allows you to do a bunch of things on the watch, charge it, deplete it, charge it, deplete it. It takes a long time, maybe a week, but through all of that, it can kind of tell how much gas your gas tank can store, how clean it is inside, whether you can fill it to the top or not, and every time you recharge it, you can't quite fill it as high as you could the time before because all these batteries lose power over time and over recharge cycles. It's not easy, folks, to tell you what the actual battery capacity is. However, it is possible to estimate it, and the estimation, it appears on this one, is about 1,000 milliamp hour right out of the box, brand spanking new. That will get you a certain distance, and that's really what we want to know. Not so much how big the battery is, but how long will your watch last under certain use conditions, right? For example, running video on this one, starting it, letting it go, 30 minutes, and automatically restarting the video, boom, 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 3 times, hour and a half, it dropped from 100% to 13%. Now that's a heavy load, it's running video, the screen is on maximum, and it's always on. You can't do much more than that. In fact, I got a video up where 2 of the other 3 watches actually failed. They shut down from overheating under that kind of condition. This one didn't shut down. But you only got an hour and a half of battery life shooting video under highest possible conditions. So it's not so much the battery capacity. Get off of that bandwagon. It's really what is the actual condition of the battery in terms of its capabilities in the watch that you've got with the battery that you were shipped and the number of recycle times you've used it. That's the truth. All right, all the rest of the stuff I'm not going to get into because that's basic stuff that you've seen before. There's no TF card in these. In case you don't know, you have to put a SIM card in these in order to use them for phone calling and text messaging. They do not tether to your phone for Bluetooth calling so that you can make a call from your watch or receive a call on your watch that's coming through your phone. That was capable in Android 5.1 watches a couple of years ago, maybe 3 now, but we've gone through Android 6, Android 7.1.1, Android 10, and now this one is calling out Android 10.7 actually in this LEM14. None of them do Bluetooth calling. Are we okay with the specs? We talked about the battery. We will be talking about the camera and about waterproofing, but I want to show you some stuff first. Let's jump over here to the watch itself, because we haven't even looked at it. When you take the plastic off, which of course I've already done, you find that it's an attractive watch. You've got a big round LEMFO branded button here, another button with a little red circle around it. I call that out because in just a moment, why not right now, I'm going to bring over another one that looks pretty much the same but doesn't have the color buttons on it. I'm going to flip them over and show you that the backs look really similar but not identical, but the contour and a big round thing in the middle and where it says SIM, all of that is the same. The heart rate monitor, the charger, all of that's the same. The speaker's the same over here, and on the front the bezel looks pretty much the same. This is the Rollme S08. And this, of course, is the LEMFO LEM14. Are you getting a feel for why LEMFO, so soon after releasing the LEM12 Pro, has come out with this watch? Because it comes from the factory that makes this one. In fact, guys, I'm going to turn this on in a moment and show you that this actually isn't even the LEM14. Well, not completely. It is, but it isn't the LEM14. It's the Kirin X. That's the factory brand name for this because this is a prototype watch. It came through the normal channels in the final packaging, but it was one of the first 10 Banggood got. They fired it out here for review, and the firmware had not been updated to the point of changing the name even on it to LEMFO. However, they did put their amazing fun watch face on it. You want to see that one? Okay, we got to turn it on. I thought it was already on. While it's turning on, I want to show you that on the back of the S08, you had to use a funny little tool like this to stick this in these holes and there's the nice and loud. You hear that? And twist this to try to remove the back. It's a twist and lock kind of thing. And after you twist it, you need to stick this on it, and pull it to get it to come off. Not a good design. So the original Kirin X-ish Android 7 watch, sold as an S08, has been updated to Android 10. There you go. There's that fancy LEMFO screen. Awesome, huh? Brand new. Android 10 with a redesigned back that's much easier to take off to put the SIM card in. Notice that the sealing on this is really, really good overall. Now we're going to talk about waterproofing. This one, this puppy, the S08, was rated at 5 ATM. That means you could go down 50 atmospheres underwater, about 30 to 50 feet, I think it is, and it would survive water entering the watch. They got some pictures of divers doing just that. Well, this has been on the market for quite a while. Not a whole lot of complaints about voiding of water proofing and water getting in the watch. Certainly people are able to take it underwater, maybe swim with it a bit. But it's run the gamut from a hilarious video of a guy in a kiddie pool who just dropped it to the bottom of the pool to show off the waterproofing and picking it up, and the darn thing was wet. Turned out he had opened the back and played around with the SIM and probably did not screw it back in a way that the seal was tight on it. So that one can't be verified as a problem of the watch, but possibly a problem of the user. All the way up to the diving videos where the divers go. You can see it in the S08 video. Look in the show notes. I've got links to the private original footage of the divers diving with this watch. 5 atmosphere pressure on it, and it's surviving, of course. So this one, cut from the same cloth and enhanced in the way the back is put on, one would think it's also going to withstand waterproofing up to 5 atmospheres, and that's what the claim is on the literature. The reality is, we don't know until somebody actually goes out and does it, but the feel is it's waterproof to IP68. IP67 now is typically what Chinese watches advertise, and their meaning of that is don't dunk it underwater. It's splash resistant. It can withstand some rain, but don't get it in the speaker holes or the microphone hole or other places because it probably would get inside the watch. The real truth behind the IP67 waterproof spec is it's waterproof underwater for up to a meter for up to 30 minutes, and it should survive. But that's still water, not moving. All right? So there's a disconnect, and has been for a long time, between the Chinese spec call-out of IP67 and the true international spec and what it means in terms of waterproofing. IP68 is even stronger. So if something is actually rated IP68, there's a good chance it could fall in the toilet, I hope after you flushed. Not during when you're flushing. But you could grab it and pull it out, rinse it off, and dry it off, and it should be okay. Or you could have it in still water. I've done that in a few videos, and it survives. But going down 30 feet, that's questionable. So, any of you guys with your S08 who have dived with it and it survived or not, or if you get an LEM14 and you dive with it, swim with it, let us know if it survives or not, because there's no real easy way for us to tell the waterproofing of this thing, and Mr. Tix with just this one is not going to go out there and do destructive testing in any way, which includes Corning glass. I'm not going to go scratching the screen with a knife to see whether or not it actually gouges it to prove whether or not it's got Corning glass on it. Not going to do it. If you guys want to, feel free to let us know, and I'll put it in the show notes, in the comments, wherever. So be sure to check that as time goes by for updates on all of this stuff. So we've covered waterproofing. We've covered the battery. And then the other thing a lot of people are excited to buy this for is the 13 megapixel dual cameras. Now, gang, Here's a real 13 megapixel camera module. And that puppy's big. Now you say, okay, I got you. But when you look at the size of the hole on the side, it's about the same. The little hole in the middle looks like it's about the same. So couldn't that be that module stuck inside that watch? Yeah, I guess it could be. But that's not really engineering. Engineering is, let's actually take some pictures and measure it. And that's what I'm going to do for you right now. Well, that segment on the camera took way too long, and it's huge. I'm moving it to the end of this video because I know not everybody's into cameras on a watch. They're way better on a phone anyway. So if the camera's a thing for you, check out the end of the review. Otherwise, let's keep moving. I do want to show you this face, though. This is a new creation from Alrod. We talk about him a lot. He does great watch face design. There's also some awesome watch faces being designed over on the blog that we talked about, the fullandroidwatch.org location. So you can check out watch faces there, too. This one is kind of special, considering we were expecting them to be really hot 13 megapixel cameras. He built this one with a simulated camera in the front, sort of like that face we saw on the Cospet 2. Touch the center. Wow. I was testing it earlier. That's what you saw there. So it'll bring it right up into the camera. On your last settings, camera or video, you select there, and whether you want side or front-facing camera, you select there. Slide out of that, you're back to the watch face. He also modified one we've seen, which I love. This is a fun one where the time kind of jumps around digitally, and it's in analog. And now the center is also hot button for the camera as well. And both of these watch faces are operational on Android 10. Launching the camera was a problem when we went from Android 7 to 10, so you want to make sure faces you install on Android 10 watches will indeed work for the touch spots, the hot spots. So real quick, we go through, I want to show you a couple more things, some Antutu reports, that kind of stuff. You've got the phone contact and SIM has to do with or SMS, the SIM card installed in the watch for making calls. Overall settings, the watch face store for downloading apps. Again, all of these are covered in detail, every single one of them, on the other review about the Cospet 2. So check that. File manager, your weather, optimization, you need to learn about that, and especially the clean task where you want to make sure it's turned on and you want to turn off the things that you want to make sure stay on in the background. Otherwise, as soon as the watch goes off, they get canceled. Things like Antutu, I don't want them running in the background, but the AccuBattery, the camera app, things like that I do. So that's one thing you need to know about. Optimization is where you find that in Android 10. App Store and your fitness now, again, your fitness is set up so that you can interface with the GPS, and when you do a run or a walk, that kind of thing, and they haven't completely finished the translation. That's the current time, I believe. You get your data on here. This was just a quick walk around the house just to check it out. And you can get a historical track as well. And this is zoomed way in on my little house out in the forest with just a little bit of walking. If I back this out, you'll see the whole Google map with all of the locations and roads and everything else, as long as you're connected to the internet for that. And of course, you can delete that as well. So all of that is here in the new screen update to the fitness app. Notice the icons are different. And they are also different than what you find over here. Same things, but you have these subdued pictures in the background. And they'll take you into the same stuff, but you can't see your reports. So the more detailed look at your fitness is when you go into the actual fitness app. But you can always scroll all the way over, pick something, and start it right then and there, as long as you've set it up already in that fitness app. Play Store and Google Maps is here. Free Camera is the app that I've been using for the camera testing beyond the stock camera, as it's with that one that I can pretty easily validate what the maximum resolution capability is of the installed camera modules. We found out in the Cospet Prime 2 that it's rated at a 13 megapixel camera, but the stock app would only shoot 8 megapixels images. It's being updated through a firmware update, should be fixed shortly, but the true module, 13 megapixel, running with free. By the way, I'm filming in my phone using free camera as the app. So much flexibility to this one, it's great. I could set a video, record it in the 1080p, whatever, 60 frames a second, set it to 30 frames a second if I want to. All that kind of stuff's available. That's an additional app. Doesn't come with it. You have to install it. There's your basic OK trigger word for Google, but you can also put in Assistant. Not this one, but the Google Assistant. This is the one that just lets you set up the tethering to the app, and we learn all about that. I'll come back here to that in a second. Battery is the one, like I mentioned, that I'm using to try to determine the actual physical energetic size of the battery, which appears to be about 1,000 milliwatt amp hours, mAh. This is the Google Assistant. You tap that thing, and you can install that. It's beyond the Google, right? And you go to the Play Store and install Assistant. And of course, when you launch that, it can come up and it's listening to you talking right now, and you can go into whatever you want to. By the way, this is a good chance for me to show you what the speakers sound like, or have you listened to them? Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Tix. It's 11:40 a.m. Have a good one. Here's the latest news.
And then I have it launched
TV,
into the
US
news app.
At 11:32 a.m. today.
How does that sound?
And now, with round-the-clock updates from Reuters journalists, here are today's top stories.
Good and loud. It's comparable to the Cospet Power, the Android 7 watch that I just reviewed recently. It seems like they're finally getting the speaker thing worked out. They're loud enough to actually hear on your arm without putting it up to your ear. Okay, that's the Assistant, and that, of course, is available here as well if you download it. And then Setting Search is another one that I love to download because this one I can do things like go into accessibility and change magnification to turn on with a triple tap, 1, 2, 3, and it'll magnify anything on the screen. I cover this because I didn't really cover a lot of the detail in the basic review, but I want you to know about these special apps. So Setting Search, which, by the way, is not in the Google Play Store anymore, I don't think, but in the show notes at the very bottom, I give you a link where you can get some of these cool apps that have been removed from the Play Store but are still functional on these watches. Google Assistant, you download that from the Play Store. Same with Battery. It's doing this kind of thing. I'm at 53% power because I'm still working it. And let's take it out of square and into circle. A little easier to read. It's showing all kinds of stuff, and as it goes through all of the testing with screen on or screen off, I had it in here last night with the watch off, the screen off, but the watch was on. Anyway, you got all these different things over and over and over, and as it goes, it will calculate what your milliamp hour average should be and how good your battery is. And that's really the best way for us to rate and compare all of these different watches, irregardless of what's physically in the case, is what is electronically, power-wise in here. Kind of like I guess you do with cars like Teslas and stuff and all of their huge battery packs. And that's Battery. So how about Antutu? Antutu is the benchmark test we use on phones and things. I've run it already. Oh, not the 3D. The 3D is an augmentation that comes along with the benchmark when you run it. I ran it already. I'm getting 56,386. You can compare that with the video I did comparing the 3 other Android 10 watches to get a feel for if that's good, bad, or better, or worse. I'll tell you right now, it's comparable. They're all coming in around that. figure, plus or minus, I'd say 2%. And it should be, because it's the same motherboard, it's the same processor, it's the same 8 cores, it's pretty much the same everything. So we expect about a 56,000 reading on the Antutu report with this one. And that's pretty much it. You've seen the installed apps here, and when you swipe down, of course, you get your basic information here. If you have a SIM card in it or you're Bluetooth tethered, they'll light up. You have these different controls. That's silent mode, but not silent mode for when you turn it on and turn it off. You have to do that in settings. Watch the Cospet Prime 2 video if you want to learn how to do that. Airplane mode, this is cellular and GPS, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Pretty self-explanatory, and that's all the further you get to go on this one. Some of them have another screen for cleanup, and the Android 7 even had weather over there. When you swipe up, you're getting your step count information, calories burned, all of that stuff. Different than doing the fitness app. This is just canned everyday data that you can track, and it gives you summaries on that. You can turn all that off too if you want to, because you don't use it, and it won't eat up any battery power on that. Over this side is where you get your notifications, and that's pretty much it for the watch. All right, let's take a look at the battery data now. And one more thing to share. What you're looking at, just kind of a summary on mid-summary, we'll summarize at the end. You have got the actual watch body comparable to the S08, which was an Android 7.1 watch that's been upgraded now in this one to Android 10. Yes, there's a version of this coming out that we'll be talking about soon, but both of them actually are the Kirin X watch, which is what you're looking at here. I'll go into that and show you as well. You've got just simply a change out in the buttons is the only distinguishing factor from the physical appearance, and we see in just a moment what the difference is in the modules for the cameras, and they are different. Okay. Down to settings. I knew there was one more thing I want to show you in settings. You can look at all the settings in detail in the Cospet 2 Prime 2 video, but you won't see this because it's unique to each of them. About the watch, see, this is the Kirin X, Android version 10.7. Now notice on mine, there's no watch number assigned to it. Status is not available. And basically, this is a prototype watch. So everything I'm sharing with you is in the basic design that was sent to me, including the camera modules, which may actually be upgraded to different modules in the production units that are shipping out. So not only can I neither confirm nor deny what the actual cameras are, but I can't confirm or deny if they're the ones that'll actually be shipping. But I'll show you what we've got so far right now. All right, let's take a look at the camera resolution on the LEM14. We're going to do that by comparing with what's out there already. These are all of the Android 10 watches on the market, these four with a representative Android 7 watch, the LEM12, before the 12 Pro, before the 14, just so we can compare. I've taken a picture of this little card here, which is about Straps Co. This is the company providing some of these unique straps you see on these watches, and you can reach them at tinyurl.com/strapsco. If you like any of the bands that you're seeing, like this fancy one here and here, that's the stock one that comes on all of these LEMFO watches, but these have been dressed up. And this one, whew, that's a nice one on the Prime 2. First, I'd like you to notice how bright and page white the image is on this great big large screened watch. It looks much better than the rest of these. The Thor 6 and the original LEM12 look very similar in kind of a off hue color. These two look very similar, the 12 Pro and the LEM14. Not that I know that that means anything, but just a point of observation. We're here to look at the size, so if we're going to get 13 megapixel resolution, you ought to see what it looks like. Here's a picture, that one I took, of this camera, and the width by the height multiplies out to 12.780 billion, right? So that's 12 million? 12 megapixels. 12,780,000. Okay, so that's what we're looking for out of a camera that professes to be giving us 13 megapixel resolution. Let's start with the Thor 6 and see what it gave us. In the side-facing camera here, we got 1080 by 1440, okay, which is way, way short of 13 megapixels. From the front-facing camera, we get exactly the same. What does that multiply out to? 1080 by 1440. Do the math. There we go. 1.5 megapixels. Yeah. I can't even use a calculator, let alone long division, long multiplication. 1.5 megapixels front and back. 13 megapixels front and back because it's only one camera that tilts. Okay? Now we move up to the original LEM12. This is the guy that's, details is up here. That's the Android 7. And look at this one. We're getting 2448 by 3264. That is 8 megapixels. So this is what we're talking about when we talk these different megapixels. 5 megapixels, 1.5 megapixels, 8 megapixels. And oftentimes, 8 megapixels is actually a 5 megapixel module that has been what they call upscaled or up-interpolated to 8 megapixels. So on the side camera, on the LEM12 Android 7 watch, we've got 8 megapixels, either true or up-interpolated. From the front-facing camera, whoa, look at that. That's barely VGA video quality, 480 by 640, which is 0.3. It's about as small a camera as you can get. So this is a tiny 0.3 megapixel camera facing forward. And that even could be up-interpolated from something smaller. We don't know. But very, very poor front-facing camera, but basically what you need for video conferencing. But a decent 8 megapixel side camera here. I'll leave the details up on that one there. So that moves us then to the LEM12 Pro, the upgrade of the 12 with Android 10. We expect the same or better quality cameras on this one. The side-facing one, look at this, 1920 by 2560. That's 5 megapixels. That's 8 megapixels. This is what you usually have in the camera module that gets up-interpolated to this. So either we have a 5 megapixel module that hasn't been modified, and this one is the same 5 megapixel one but has been upscaled, or this one's an upscaled 5 megapixels of a 2 megapixel camera for the side. Could be one of the other. Yeah. So, all right, what else have we got here? This is the front-facing camera on this one. Give us the details on that. 480 by 640, same as this one, okay? So they didn't change the camera module on the LEM12 to 12 Pro. It's a tiny little baby thing, but they did take away the up-interpolation or upscaling, it looks like, of the front-facing camera. Most likely. Most likely these have 5 megapixel side camera modules. This puppy is even lower. And that, of course, is our full 13 megapixel. Okay, so what's the LEM14? Drum roll, please. This is the side-facing camera. This is the resolution. At 13 megapixels, we've got 1920 by 2560. The basic 5 megapixel camera. Same as what we've got on the Android 10 LEM12 Pro on the side camera. Even if you up-interpolate a 5 megapixel camera, the best you can hope for is 8 megapixels, 2448 by 3264, a far cry from 13 megapixels. So the side one, at best, is 5 megapixel. At worst, that's been upscaled and it's only 2 megapixels. Alrighty, well, maybe the front one is the one that's the hot one, huh? Details? 1080 by 1440. Yeah, that's the same as the Thor 6 on its side and forward, right? It's the same on both on this one. So, folks, we're looking at pretty much the same camera modules and these same size dual camera watches, no bigger than 8 megapixels maximum, but most likely no bigger than 5 megapixels, and some of them are even smaller. The only apparently true 13 megapixel camera so far is the one that actually comes on the Cospet Thor, Cospet Prime 2. Yeah, wow. I knew one of you guys was going to ask. I just knew it. Okay, here's the S08, the one that's got the same body build, which you would think would have probably the same cameras and whatnot in it. And what does it do? 8 megapixels for both front facing and side facing. So considerably different than what we're seeing in the LEMFO LEM14. This is closer to 13 megapixels since we've got 8 on both front and side than this one is in the LEM14. So let's summarize. We've got a really nice watch here. It's running Android 10. It's basically a bump up to the Rollme S08 with a really nicely sealed back and a fairly proven track record of waterproofness. Now, whether it's IP67, 68, or 5 ATM, this is one of the few that appears to be safe to be put in water. And this is pretty much the same watch, a little bit of redesign on the back to make it even more secure, and of course upgraded to Android 10. So the LEM14 has going for it the body of the Rollme S08, and it's got a lot of the stuff that we've seen in the LEMFO Lem12 Pro, which just came out, which was Android 10, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, and a really nice introduction and integration of Android 10 into the watch market. So you take the Android 10 work that went into bringing us the Lem12 Pro, add the body of the S08, and you've got a pretty overall good designed watch, if you can overlook the shortcomings of some of the folks in China over-promising and under-delivering. Pablo 11 created this list of things that have not been verified or have been verified to need to be updated. Once again, we cannot certify that the waterproof characteristics of the LEM14 are fully 5 ATM, but it's probably the best waterproofing thing going right now next to the S08, which is an Android 7 watch. It is 4G independent calling, verified. Built-in GPS, absolutely, and it works. It's got Android 10, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and 64 gigabytes of storage. All that's there. The 13 megapixel autofocus camera doesn't appear to be on this one. This is a prototype. It might be that modules are going to be upgraded in the final production. It might be that that's just an overpromise and it's really going to be no bigger than the stock 8 megapixel cameras that you found in the original S08. Either way, that one's definitely something of concern. If you're buying it for the cameras, don't go with the Prime 2 for a full 13 megapixel. It's too big. I know. What are the trade-offs, right? And of course, it does have Face ID. All of these do. But be careful if you lock it, because if you forget your passcode and you can't get in with your face, you got to actually flash firmware to it to unlock it again. Not too good. And finally, are you kidding me, department? 1.69 inches. How hard is it to actually measure something? I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to switch it over here to inches. I'm going to zero it out, and we're going to actually take a measurement of the screen best I can from there to there. 1.5875. There's 1.6 inches right there. Here's 1.69 inches, folks. Right about, I'm looking at the dial there, about right there. Look at that. From there to there, from there to there. It isn't even this big. If they were measuring the bezel, let's call it 1.97 inches. Sorry, a little off camera. But it is, it honestly is a 1.6 diameter screen, as in all of these. Never was, never will be. Don't know where 1.69 inches came from, but it is an IPS screen, not TFT or AMOLED or OLED or any of those. All right. Last thing to mention, if you like the bands that you're seeing on these, this is the stock one. This is an upgrade. We have those available from Straps Co. Got a whole review on these out there. This link will be in the show notes. If you use it, you help us out here at the channel. And again, a shout out to fullandroidwatch.org with the blog that they have set up specifically for the LEM14. By the way, it originally said it came with NFC. No, that's not even in the literature anymore. That got pulled right away. Which brings me to the point that what you see in Banggood and what you see from LEMFO was fed to them from the factory, and as it becomes very clear that some of this stuff is wrong, the literature gets changed. But don't blame Banggood, don't blame LEMFO. They're doing the best they can, and you can bet they're really upset when they get fed bad information that has to be corrected later. The ones that I just showed you that are X'd out, the technical experts at Full Android Watch are working on our behalf to make sure that the specs are accurate. Okay? And we really appreciate them for that. So hopefully you'll go over there and create an account and take a look and participate with everybody. Once again, last thing, you can actually get the watch. Wow, we've talked about a lot, but the watch itself is available from Banggood. It's on special, just got confirmation. I don't have any deeper discount than this right now. It's in the pre-launch phase. If you're okay with all of the features we showed you and you fully understand the ones that appear to be incorrect and you still want this watch, and I would, honestly, I'm not that caring about 13 megapixel camera on a watch. If you are, well, there's other options. But if it doesn't matter to you, loudspeaker, beautiful design, pretty much the best waterproof watch you're going to be able to get right now in this form factor, and it's Android 10, and it's only $160. Check the link in the show notes. It'll get you over there. Gang, thank you for bearing with me. These are long. I apologize, but they're deeply technical right now. We'll get back to the simpler ones, I hope, pretty soon. We'll see you again soon.